The slate tiles of the Regent's roof were freezing against my boots, but the view of the moon was worth the frostbite. I was a shadow guard, one of the elite, invisible protectors of the realm, which meant my job usually consisted of hiding in the dark and waiting for someone to try and assassinate William, the kingdom's regent and the most powerful prime alpha in the territory. Tonight, however, it was quiet. Too quiet. Just another boring Tuesday. I muttered to myself, shifting my weight. Nothing but crickets and the smell of. I sniffed the air. Is that cedarwood and rain? The scent hit me like a physical wave, William's pheromones. He was bathing in the thermal spring below. I knew I should move. A shadow guard does not spy on his master during private hours. But before my brain could send the signal to my legs, a sinister crack echoed through the night air. "Oh, you have got to be kidding me," I gasped. The support beam beneath my feet gave way with a groan. Gravity took over. I didn't even have time to scream before I plummeted through the fractured tiles, debris raining down around me like a hailstorm. Splash. The water was hot, scaldingly so. I flailed, my limbs tangling in the silk curtains surrounding the pool, before I finally found my footing on the slippery stone floor. I broke the surface, gasping for air, water streaming down my face. "Report," I shouted instinctively, wiping my eyes. "The roof. The roof has been compromised. I can see that," a deep, baritone voice rumbled from the mist. I froze. The steam cleared slowly, revealing him. William sat lounging at the edge of the pool, unbothered, the water lapping at his broad, scarred chest. He looked like a predator who had just found a rabbit in his den. He didn't look angry. He looked amused. "Arthur," William said, his voice low and laced with a dominance that made my omega instincts tremble. "Since you've decided to drop in for dinner, why don't you stay?" My face burned hotter than the water. "Sir, Regent, I was patrolling. The structure was weak. I didn't mean to." "Come here," he commanded, cutting off my babbling. He curled a finger, beckoning me closer. "Sir, I'm soaking wet. I'll ruin the mood." I stammered, backing away until my back hit the stone wall. "I should go get a towel. Or a new roof." "I'll go get a roof." "Arthur." The name was a warning. "Come. Here." I swallowed hard. You don't say no to a prime alpha, especially not when he's your boss and currently half-naked. I waded through the water, the rose petals floating on the surface swirling around my waist. "Closer," he murmured. I stopped 3 feet away. "I can see you perfectly fine from here, sir." "But I can't see you," he countered. He reached out, his hand shooting through the water to grab my wrist. With a sudden jerk, he pulled. "Whoa!" I yelped, losing my footing on the slick tiles. I went down, crashing right into him. My hands instinctively shot out to brace myself, landing squarely on his bare, wet chest. I was straddling him. In the bath. My face was inches from his. I could smell him, the overwhelming, intoxicating scent of cedar, ozone, and power. It made my head spin. "Steady," William whispered, his hands settling firmly on my waist to keep me from slipping under. I am so fired," I breathed, staring wide-eyed at him. William chuckled, the sound vibrating through his chest against my palms. "Fired? No. That would be a waste of a good fall. You're heavy, you know that." "It's the armor," I lied quickly. I wasn't wearing armor, just my stealth gear. "And the water weight." "Sir, please let go. This is highly inappropriate." "Is it?" His gaze dropped to my lips, then back to my eyes. "You crashed through my ceiling, land in my lap, and now you're lecturing me on propriety?" "I didn't land in your lap on purpose." I protested, trying to push myself up, but his grip on my waist was iron. "Sir, seriously. If anyone walks in, let them," William said dismissively. "I'm the regent. I do what I want." He leaned in closer, his nose brushing against my jawline. "And right now, I'm wondering how to punish a clumsy little spy." My breath hitched. "Punish? I told you it was an accident. I'll pay for the roof. Deduct it from my salary." "Your salary wouldn't cover the imported tiles," he drawled. "No, I think I'll take something else." "My life," I squeaked. "Please don't kill me. I'm too pretty to die." William laughed again, a genuine sound that softened the hard lines of his face. "You are pretty, which is why killing you would be a shame." He moved his hand from my waist to my chin, tilting my head up. "Say goodbye to the shadow guard, Arthur." "What?" Panic flared in my chest. You are firing me. No, he said softly. I'm promoting you. Starting tomorrow, you're my personal page. My attendant. You'll live in my quarters, sleep in my room, and go where I go. Sleep in your... Sir, that's against protocol. I am the protocol, Williams stated, finality in his tone. Now, get out of my bath before I decide to collect my payment immediately. He released me. I scrambled backward, splashing water everywhere, and practically crawled out of the pool. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Good night, sir. I fled the room, heart pounding like a drum, leaving the most powerful man in the kingdom laughing softly in the steam. The transition was immediate and terrifying. That very night, my belongings were moved. The regent's bedroom was vast, dominated by a massive four-poster bed draped in heavy velvet. But there was a second, smaller bed set up in the corner, separated only by a translucent silk screen. I lay in the darkness, staring at the ceiling, listening to the steady rhythm of William breathing across the room. You're breathing too loud. William's voice cut through the dark. I froze. I'm not breathing, sir. I'm holding my breath. Then you'll die, and I'll have to do paperwork, he groaned. Go to sleep, Arthur. I'm not going to eat you. I turned on my side, facing his silhouette through the screen. You might. Alphas get hungry at night. Only for specific things, he muttered, his voice dropping an octave. And you're too skinny to be a meal. I'm lean, I corrected indignantly. It's muscle. Good night, Arthur. Good night, William. I mean, sir. I closed my eyes, the scent of cedarwood lulling me into a restless sleep. I didn't see him smile in the darkness, but I felt the shift in the air, a strange sense of safety I hadn't felt in years. The next morning, the domestic bliss, if you could call it that, was shattered. I woke up alone. By the time I dressed and rushed to the main hall, the council was in session. I hid behind a pillar, listening. Providence sector is lost, a general was shouting. The plague is spreading. It's not natural. It's biowarfare. Williams sat at the head of the table, his face a mask of stone. We cannot abandon the city. If Providence falls, the supply lines to the capital are cut. It's suicide to go there, Regent, another minister cried. Let the local garrison handle it. The local garrison is dead or dying, Williams said, standing up. The room went silent. I will go. I will stabilize the sector myself. Sir. I stepped out from behind the pillar, forgetting my place. You can't go to a plague zone. You're the regent. If you get sick. William looked at me, his eyes tired. Arthur. Pack my bags. I leave in an hour. I'm coming with you, I stated. No, he said, his voice hard. You are staying here. It's too dangerous. I'm taking the elite squad. You're a page now. Pages stay in the palace. I was a shadow guard yesterday. I argued, walking up to him. I can fight. I have immunity to most toxins from my training. I am going. William grabbed my shoulders, his grip bruising. Arthur, listen to me. I need you safe. I need to know that one thing in this world is safe. Stay? Here. He didn't wait for an answer. He turned and walked out, his cape billowing behind him. I stood there, fuming. Safe? I muttered, clenching my fists. He thinks he can order me to be safe? Watch me. It took me 3 weeks to smuggle myself into Providence sector. The city was a ghost town. Yellow quarantine flags hung from every window. The smell of sickness and burning herbs hung heavy in the air. I had disguised myself as a medical volunteer, my face covered by a heavy mask. I found the field hospital in the old gymnasium. It was chaos. Hey, you there? A harried-looking doctor with messy hair and glasses pointed at me. Grab that tray of antivirals. Bedford needs a drip now. On it, I said, deepening my voice. I grabbed the tray and marched over. I'm Dr. Vance, the man said, wiping sweat from his forehead. You knew? Transferred from the capital, I lied. What's the situation? It's bad, Vance whispered, leaning in. This isn't a virus. The symptoms, they don't match. No fever, just organ failure and paralysis. It looks more like a neurotoxin. Someone is poisoning the water supply. Poison, I breathed. Does the regent know? He suspects, Vance said grimly. But he's not doing well. My heart stopped. What do you mean? He collapsed 2 days ago. He's in the isolation ward. High security. I didn't wait for permission. I shoved the tray into Vance's hands. Handle bed for yourself. I sprinted toward the isolation wing. 2 guards stood at the door, William's personal elite. They recognized me immediately despite the mask. "Arthur," one of them hissed. "You're supposed to be in the Capitol. Move," I growled, my hand hovering over the hidden dagger in my boot. "Or I move you." They glanced at each other, then stepped aside. I burst into the room. It was freezing inside. William sat on the edge of a cot, his face pale, dark circles under his eyes. He was shirtless, sweat glistening on his skin. He looked up as I entered, his eyes widening. "You," he rasped, his voice wrecked. "I told you to stay, and I told you I was coming." I snapped, though my voice trembled. I rushed to his side, dropping to my knees. "William, look at me. How bad is it?" "I'm fine," he lied, trying to push me away. "Just a little tired." Suddenly, he lurched forward, coughing violently. Blood splattered onto the white sheets. "William," I screamed. I grabbed a towel and pressed it to his mouth. "Doctor. We need a doctor." "Quiet," William wheezed, grabbing my wrist. "It's part of the plan." I froze. "What?" He wiped his mouth, his eyes gaining a sudden, sharp clarity. "The blood is real, unfortunately. The poison is real. But I'm not dying. Not yet. I need them to think I am." "Who?" "Governor Sterling," William whispered. "He controls this sector. He's the one poisoning the water. He wants to leverage the cure to demand independence. If he thinks I'm weak, he'll make his move." You crazy bastard," I whispered, relief and anger warring in my chest. "You let yourself get poisoned." "I drank the water to prove a point to the locals," he admitted with a grimace. "Calculated risk." "Arthur, why are you here?" "You disobeyed a direct order." "I'm here because you're an idiot who drinks poison," I retorted, tears pricking my eyes. "And because I couldn't sleep. The room was too quiet without your loud breathing." William's expression softened. He reached out, his cold fingers brushing my cheek. "You stubborn, foolish Omega. You walked into a death trap for me. Someone has to watch your back," I whispered. "Well," he smirked weakly. "Since you're here, help me stand up. We have a dinner party to crash." The governor's mansion was a stark contrast to the dying city. Chandeliers sparkled, and tables were laden with food. Governor Sterling, a greasy alpha with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, sat at the head of the table. "Ashamed the regent couldn't join us," Sterling said loudly to his sycophants. "I hear the sickness has taken a terrible hold. Perhaps it is time we discuss a transition of power." "I wouldn't start measuring the crown just yet, Sterling," a voice boomed from the doorway. The room gasped. William stood there, leaning heavily on me, but looking every inch the king he was born to be. He was dressed in his full military regalia, his cape hiding the tremors in his hands. "Regent." Sterling stood up, knocking over his wine glass. We were told you were on your deathbed." "I have a very good doctor," William said, nodding at me, "and a very loyal staff." He limped forward, dragging me with him. We stopped at the head of the table. William picked up Sterling's wine glass, sniffed it, and smashed it on the floor. "The antidote," William said calmly. "Hand it over." "I don't know what you mean," Sterling stammered, sweat beading on his forehead. "There is no antidote because there is no poison. It's a plague. Drop the act." I spoke up, my voice ringing clear. "We found the chemical reserves in your basement, Governor. My team is securing them right now." It was a bluff. We hadn't found anything yet. But Sterling didn't know that. His eyes darted to the door. "Guards!" Sterling screamed. "Kill them. They're imposters." The doors burst open. But it wasn't Sterling's men. It was the Shadow Guard, led by Dr. Vance, who was holding a heavy assault rifle that looked very out of place in a doctor's hands. "Sector secured, Regent," Vance called out cheerfully. "And we found the antidote in the wine cellar." "Vintage year, apparently." William smiled, a terrifying, wolfish grin. "It's over, Sterling. Arrest him." As Sterling was dragged away screaming, William's legs finally gave out. I caught him, buckling under his weight. "I've got you," I whispered, holding him up. "I've got you." "I know," he murmured, resting his forehead against my shoulder. "Take me home, Arthur." The carriage ride back to the capital was long, but the tension had shifted. William was recovering, the antidote doing its work. We sat opposite each other, the rhythmic clatter of the wheels filling the silence. "I want pastries," I announced suddenly, breaking the quiet. When we get back, I want those custard tarts from the Southern District. William looked up from his datapad. You want tarts? We just survived a biological coup, and you're thinking about custard? I'm a growing boy, I said, crossing my arms. And stress makes me hungry. You're insatiable, William noted, a playful glint in his eyes. Is that a complaint, sir? No, he said softly. He reached across the small space, taking my hand. His thumb rubbed over my knuckles. It's an observation. You saved my life back there, Arthur. Again. It's my job. You're not a guard anymore, he reminded me. You're a page. Pages don't lead armed raids. I'm a multi-talented page. He pulled on my hand, dragging me off my seat until I was kneeling between his legs on the carriage floor. The intimacy of the position made my breath catch. Arthur, he whispered, leaning down. Do you remember anything? About before. I blinked. Before what? Before you joined the Shadow Guard 3 years ago. Before the accident that took your memory. I shook my head. No. Just flashes. Fire. Snow. A man's voice telling me to run. What? William's eyes were sad, filled with a grief I didn't understand. No reason. Just curious. When we get back, I'm giving you a raise. And all the custard tarts you can eat. You're deflecting, I accused. What aren't you telling me? I'm telling you that I'm tired of sleeping alone, he murmured, leaning his forehead against mine. And that when this carriage stops, I intend to kiss you until you forget about custard. My heart hammered against my ribs. Is that an order, Regent? It's a promise. The peace didn't last. It never does in the capital. The Queen Mother, the Dowager Empress, had invited us to the victory banquet. It was a trap. We knew it was a trap. But protocol dictated we attend. The great hall was filled with tension. The Queen Mother sat on the throne, her face twisted in a rictus of a smile. To the Regent, she toasted, raising a goblet. For saving the kingdom. Yet again. To the crown, William replied dryly, not drinking. Where is the young king? William asked, his voice echoing in the silent hall. He should be here. He is? Indisposed, the Queen Mother sneered. She snapped her fingers. Suddenly, the doors slammed shut. Archers appeared on the balcony. You have become too powerful, William, she spat. The people love you more than they love my son. You are a threat, and threats must be eliminated. You're making a mistake, William said calmly, standing in front of me. Stand down. Fire, she shrieked. Get down, William roared, flipping the heavy oak table to create a barricade. Arrows thudded into the wood like rain. Chaos erupted. Guests screamed and scrambled for cover. We need to get to the exit, I yelled, reaching for a knife I had smuggled in my sleeve. Stay behind me, William commanded. He drew his sword, ceremonial, but sharp enough. We moved as a unit, fighting our way toward the side door. But the Queen Mother wasn't done. Kill the Omega, she screamed. He's the Regent's weakness. Strike him, and the Regent falls. I saw the assassin before William did. He popped up from behind a pillar, a crossbow aimed directly at William's back. William, I didn't think. I didn't calculate. I just moved. I shoved William hard, sending him stumbling out of the path. Thwack. The impact was like a sledgehammer to the chest. I looked down. A black bolt was protruding from my ribcage. Arthur, William's scream was a sound of pure, unadulterated horror. I fell back, the world tilting sideways. William caught me before I hit the ground. His face was pale, his eyes wide with panic. No, 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 he chanted, pressing his hands around the wound. Stay with me. Arthur, look at me. Open your eyes. I coughed, tasting copper. You were in the way. You idiot, he sobbed, tears streaming down his face. Why did you do that? Protect the asset, I whispered, the darkness creeping in at the edges of my vision. Job? Description. You're not a guard, he roared. You're my heart. You can't die? That's an order. Sorry, sir. I smiled weakly. I think I'm going to have to disobey. The last thing I saw was William's face contorted in rage as he turned toward the assassins, a primal roar ripping from his throat. Then, everything went black. Dream sequence. I was 16 again. The snow was red. My father was on his knees. Run, Arthur, he screamed. Don't look back. The invaders were laughing. They wore the crest of the rebellion. One of them grabbed me, his hands rough. Pretty little thing, the man sneered. You'll fetch a high price. Then, a flash of silver. A sword cutting through the air. A young alpha, barely 20, with eyes like a storm, stepped over the bodies of my captors. Are you hurt? The young man asked, extending a hand. It was William. Younger, softer, but him. I reached for him, but the darkness swallowed me again. I woke up to the smell of cedarwood and antiseptics. My chest felt like it had been trampled by a horse. I groaned, trying to shift. Don't move, a rough voice whispered. I blinked my eyes open. William was sitting by the bed. He looked terrible. He hadn't shaved in days. His clothes were rumpled, and his eyes were red-rimmed. Hey, I croaked. He let out a shuddering breath and buried his face in the mattress next to my hand. You're awake. Thank God. You're awake. Did we win? I asked. Yes, he muffled into the sheets. The Queen Mother is in custody. The young king is safe. It's over. I reached out, tangling my fingers in his hair. Why do you look so sad then? William lifted his head. Because I almost lost you. And because, you remembered, didn't you? In the fever. You were calling out for your father. I paused. The memories were there, sharp and painful. I remember. You saved me. 6 years ago. In the border raids. I was too late to save your family, William said bitterly. I pulled you out of the fire, but you were in shock. You lost your voice, then your memory. I brought you to the Shadow Guard because I didn't know what else to do with you. I thought if you were strong, you'd never be hurt again. And then I fell through your roof. I whispered. And then you fell through my roof, he laughed wetly. And I realized I had been in love with the boy I saved for 6 years, and I was terrified to tell him. You loved me. I asked, my heart swelling. From the moment I saw you in the snow, he admitted. Arthur, I'm done. I'm resigning as regent. The king is old enough now. I don't want the power. I don't want the politics. I just want you. Resigning? I tried to sit up, but winced. But what will you do? I bought a house, he said. Up north. Near the mountains. Plenty of snow. No assassins. Just us. I looked at him, searching for any sign of hesitation. There was none. Just raw, open devotion. Does this house have a sturdy roof? I asked. William grinned, squeezing my hand. Reinforced steel. You can't fall through it. And custard tarts. A bakery within walking distance. I smiled, settling back into the pillows. Then I accept your offer, former regent. Epilogue. 3 months later the snow was falling thick and fast outside the cabin window. I sat by the fireplace, wrapped in a thick wool blanket, watching William chop wood outside. He was wearing a flannel shirt, sleeves rolled up despite the cold, his breath puffing in white clouds. He stopped, sensing my gaze, and looked through the window. He waved. I waved back. He finished the log, stuck the axe in the stump, and jogged inside. A moment later, the door opened, bringing a gust of cold air and the scent of fresh pine. It's freezing out there, he said, stomping the snow off his boots. You could wear a coat, I suggested, sipping my cocoa. And hide these muscles. He flexed playfully. I thought you liked the rugged lumberjack look. It's growing on me, I teased. He walked over, pulling me out of the chair and into his cold, solid embrace. Happy? He asked, his voice serious. I rested my head against his chest, listening to his strong, steady heartbeat. No politics. No poison. No arrows. Just us. Ecstatic, I whispered. William kissed the top of my head. Good. Because I forgot to mention, the roof in the bedroom. I pulled back, suspicious. What about it? I had a glass skylight installed, he smirked. Just in case you want to go up there and inspect the view. I laughed, pulling him down for a kiss. Shut up and kiss me, Alpha. Yes, sir, he murmured against my lips. And for the first time in my life, everything was exactly where it was supposed to be.